British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said he regrets appointing Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States, telling MPs he repeatedly lied and misrepresented his ties to the late US sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Last night, British police launched an investigation into the former Northern Ireland Secretary over alleged misconduct in public office, following claims that he leaked sensitive information to Jeffrey Epstein.
Peter Mandelson's association with Jeffrey Epstein has already cost him his job as the UK's ambassador to the US, his seat in the House of Lords and his reputation. Today in Westminster, the fallout continues.
Mandelson betrayed our country, our Parliament and my party. Mr Speaker, he lied repeatedly to my team when asked about his relationship with Epstein before and during his tenure as ambassador. I regret appointing him.
The British Prime Minister is facing increasing pressure to release all vetting documents related to Peter Mandelson's appointment as ambassador to the US, which is viewed as one of the UK's most important and influential diplomatic roles. Questions have also been raised about the judgment of the Prime Minister and his closest advisor, Irish-born Morgan McSweeney. Last night, it was also confirmed that Peter Mandelson will face a police probe into allegations he leaked market-sensitive information to Jeffrey Epstein. He has not responded to these latest claims, but previously expressed regret about his past ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Also facing intense scrutiny following the latest release of the Epstein files, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The former prince is reported to have moved out of his mansion on the royal estate in Windsor last night, after these pictures and new correspondence were published by the US Department of Justice. He has always denied any wrongdoing, but the story continues to cast a shadow over the British royal family. Kate Varley, RTÉ News.
Staying with that story, shortly before we came on air, I spoke to George Parker of the Financial Times. I first asked him if we got any clarity today on what Keir Starmer knew about Epstein's relationship with Peter Mandelson before he appointed him as UK ambassador to the US.
Yeah, I think regret is probably an understatement to describe the Prime Minister's views this afternoon. He's in serious trouble politically here. Labour MPs are dismayed at what's just unfolded in the House of Commons this afternoon. Basically, Keir Starmer has confirmed in the House of Commons today that he knew at the time he appointed Peter Mandelson as the new UK ambassador to Washington that Mandelson had maintained a friendship with Jeffrey Epstein even after Epstein had been convicted and was in prison for child sex trafficking. And the story that the FT broke actually back in 2023 was that Peter Mandelson, when he was effectively the Deputy Prime Minister of the UK, went to stay in Epstein's Manhattan townhouse whilst Epstein was in prison. That was in the public domain. Keir Starmer knew about that, as he confirmed today. And that sort of left lots of Labour MPs thinking, what on earth was the Prime Minister thinking?
So where does this leave Keir Starmer now? And what is going on in the Labour government? Are they really tightening the screws on him now and his Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney?
It leaves them in a really difficult position. I've just been speaking to Labour MPs here, and the mood has really turned quite dark, I would say, as far as Keir Starmer is concerned. Not just the fact that this is the last thing the Labour government needs, the scandal of Epstein, that this was a self-made crisis. Keir Starmer didn't have to appoint Peter Mandelson. That's one thing. The second thing, in the House of Commons this afternoon, Keir Starmer has been forced against his will by rebellious Labour MPs to agree that a lot more documents relating to his appointment will be put into the public domain. They'll be scrutinised by a committee of MPs and members of the House of Lords rather than it being done in-house in Downing Street. So another sign of parliamentary mishandling and weakness by Keir Starmer. So you speak to Labour MPs there saying that a lot of people thought there would be a challenge to Keir Starmer's leadership. Now, the vast majority, this MP said to me, believe that there will be a challenge sooner rather than later.
I want to ask you about that story in the Mail today, that email from Ghislaine Maxwell saying that picture of Prince Andrew Windsor with Virginia Giuffre, that it was real and Andrew knew about it.
Well, I mean, Prince Andrew's got no reputation left to defend. I mean, he's just been dispatched from public property in Windsor Castle to exile up in Norfolk on the King's private estate. I don't think anyone for a second takes Prince Andrew or former Prince Andrew's word against Virginia Giuffre's in the case of that picture. So, look, his reputation has been trashed. Peter Mandelson's reputation has been trashed. Anyone who came into contact with Jeffrey Epstein, frankly, their reputation has been trashed. And by association, the British Prime Minister is feeling the backwash of that in quite a dramatic way, I think.
Where do things go from here? Will there be more revelations over the coming days and weeks?
Well, my colleagues at the FT have spent the last few days poring over literally millions of documents from the Epstein files released by the American Department of Justice. A lot has come out. A lot of Labour MPs here think that more is yet to come out. There's a lot of nervousness about that, although what's come out already is bad enough. So look, Peter Mandelson is in trouble. He's now facing a police investigation into misconduct in public office. That's an offence which carries a maximum penalty of life in prison. So you can see how seriously this is being taken here in London. And the big question, I suppose, then is what happens to Keir Starmer? Is he going to pay the ultimate price for this? And you mentioned, by the way, Morgan McSweeney, who's the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, originally from Cork, as you know. He's being seen by many Labour MPs as being partly to blame for this, recommending that Peter Mandelson should get that job in Washington. And some people thinking he might be made a sacrificial lamb by the Prime Minister to try to save his own skin.
Interesting times ahead. George Parker of the Financial Times, thank you for joining us on 6-1 this evening.